Okay, so Douglas Murray still coping after the Joe Rogan appearance, and this is perhaps his most ironic stop on the Damage Control tour to the Free Press with Barry Weiss, no relation to yours truly, of course. The fact that people have been kept out of the conversation who should have been in the conversation does not mean that absolutely everyone should be given the platform to spread untrue things.
So
I
why are
mean,
you talking?
yeah, exactly. Like this is pretty remarkable. So let's take a look at this.
The dynamics at play here, and this goes beyond the conversation that you had with Smith on Rogan. I think it's just a bigger dynamic playing out right now is over the past decade, probably longer, the left was in the business of making everything taboo. Even biological reality became taboo.
Exactly.
And
This
so
is a backlash.
And the reaction the cultural right is having, the right, like broadly defined here, and I think it's breaking apart in all kinds of interesting ways, is no. You guys said everything taboo. We're making nothing taboo. And so the second someone comes around, as you tried to do in that conversation, and say, actually, you know what? The stigmatization of Holocaust denial, that's a good stigma. That's something we should keep around. The standard of going to a place that you write about, that's something we should keep around.
What about the stigmatization of modern day Holocausts? What about that? What about the stigmatization of people who proudly defend Holocausts that are happening right now? What about that? Is that taboo? Is that taboo?
What the listener, I think, can hear in that situation is this is a person calling for cancel culture. This is a person calling for gatekeeping. And I find that dynamic extremely frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
How do you get out of that trap?
One, I just, you got to exercise hygiene on your.
Well, you see, you call it hygiene. You don't call it cancel culture. You don't call it gatekeeping. You come up with a clever stand-in like hygiene.
You pull out your thesaurus and you find a different set of words for describing the same behaviors. And you say it's different. That's what you do.
That's what you do.
Have you been to my thesaurus library? It's quite extensive.
Yeah, like it's amazing. They are advocating for gatekeeping. My issue with Rogan was not that he had Mark Andreessen on the show; it's that he didn't prepare to challenge him on his bullshit. Darren Cooper, same thing. Have him on the show. I care, but don't. I mean, you shouldn't be credulous.
There's no question that you you shouldn't put people on your show,
right?
But you should be doing more than fangirling,
right?
When a guy who literally makes a living preying on old ladies' retirement money. Right. Yeah, you should be prepared with more than really. Right. Ooh, tell me more. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, you're getting paid that much. You could have your staff prepare 5 fucking pages of background on the people you interview. I don't think that's a lot to ask. With Barry Weiss and Douglas Murray here, I mean, the hypocrisy meter is just gonna break off the charts. As particularly Murray, he's written so extensively about the glory and the grandeur of the Western tradition of debate as an argument against any kind of cancel culture, and so is she.
I have stuff. Oh, believe me, yeah.
And to see the two of them sitting there, as if they're not canceling people for expressing a point of view, and they're trying to rule ideas and points of view out of bounds, which is exactly what they're complaining about, even as they're speaking right now.
Yes, her outlet is called The Free Press, which is titled very deliberately. We'll get into that in just a second.
Own side, and the fact that people have been kept out of the conversation who should have been in the conversation does not mean that absolutely everybody should be given the platform to spread untrue things. And it's going to be, I mean, like everything difficult in this life, it's going to take some dexterity, because all these fine corners that end up mattering, they do need careful thinking and careful treading.
They do need careful thinking. So yes,
I said just the other day to somebody, "Do you have an English degree?" Well, then shut up. I have a degree in English. Shut up. Let me tell you about Israel.
Exactly. Well, we'll get into that in a second. But here, Bari Weiss's publication is called The Free Press, a new media company built on the ideals that were once the bedrock of American journalism. What are those, you ask? Well, here's the About section on the website. This is up right now. The Free Press is a new media company founded by Bari Weiss and built on the ideals that once were the bedrock of great journalism: honesty, doggedness, and fierce independence. We publish investigative stories and provocative commentary about the world as it actually is, with the quality once expected from the legacy press, but the fearlessness of the new. Originally called Common Sense, we focus on stories that are ignored or misconstrued in the service of an ideological narrative. For us, curiosity isn't a liability, it's a necessity. Next paragraph is a doozy in this context. Expect debates, scoops from trusted reporters, provocations from those thinking outside the lines, and live events that bring people with different views together into a truly diverse community. You won't agree with everything we run, and we think that's exactly the point. The exact point of your publication was a rebuke of cancel culture. I mean, Bari Weiss was a lib back in the day. That whole viral clip about Tulsi Gabbard is a toady, and Rogan asked her, what's a toady? And she doesn't know.
Yeah.
She was a lib, and she got forced out of lib world, and she decided, I'm going to create a Substack that originally was called Common Sense, as sort of a rebuke of like wokeism and stuff, and then evolved into the Free Press. The whole premise of your project, the whole reason people know who you are, is because you decried cancel culture. And now you're saying, well, cancel culture is not cancel culture when we can figure out some other way of putting it. It's hygiene. Just because people have been kept out of the conversation doesn't mean we shouldn't now keep certain people out of the conversation. I mean, that's essentially what he's saying. And now here's Douglas Murray's appeal to credentialism. Talk about a lack of self-awareness. Go ahead.
Before you get into it, I just want to point out, Glenn called out Bari Weiss for this way, way back. I think he was probably the first prominent person to point out that she was a Zionist maniac who tried to get a Arab professor fired at Columbia for her pro-Palestine views.
Right.
So you could have seen this coming a mile away.
Oh,
that she would develop a Zionism exception.
100%.
And this is somebody, don't forget, and you can find the clip if you're so inclined. This is somebody with so little self-respect that she stood up at a conservative gathering and said, I know there are people in this room who wouldn't approve of my marriage, but you're my people.
You're my people.
How little do you have to think of yourself to say such a thing?
Yeah. Yep. So here Douglas Murray goes on.
The platform, I don't like the platforming of endless, weird, kooky voices from semi-self-taught people. So
once again, you all have a bachelor's degree in English. You are a self-taught person, which, by the way, I don't have a degree in anything. There's nothing wrong with being a self-taught person, but you can't gatekeep. I mean, he's saying, I'm sick of the platform.
It's not really a position to gatekeep from. Yeah.
I mean, you notice he edits his line in real time because I think he realizes, oh, wait a minute, I'm self-taught.
I don't like
the platforming.
Platforming of endless, weird, kooky voices from I don't mean self-taught.
That describes me. Semi-self-taught
people. So here's the problem as I see it.
But is the problem with being self-taught, or is
No, it's not. I mean,
no, I shouldn't have said that because I'm self-taught. Shouldn't have said that. I take that back. Do you have an editor here who could take that out? I suppose not.
And I stressed repeatedly in the interview, anyone can say anything they want within the confines of the law. Anyone can have a view on anything. I'm for that. I spent much of my career advocating for that. But that it doesn't mean just because some experts have let themselves down or let all of us down, it doesn't mean that you should simply lift the sluices of your society and allow all the sewage to just flow through it. And that's what I see happening.
So you want to solve that by canceling people?
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
you want censorship? I mean, it sounds like that's a very long way of saying you want censorship.
Of course. I mean,
Because what else would you do about that?
they're trying to toe a line that they just can't. They're saying, well, we don't want to cancel people, but we don't want to platform people either. I'm tired. In
Right.
other words, we want people to have better
Well,
taste. We
that's
want
what the
people to
libs
agree
said.
with us, and that's
The
what they
libs
say. Of
always
course.
said, yeah, no, you could say whatever you want, but you have a right to speech, not reach. That was their
Exactly.
formulation. It's
Right.
basically
Freedom
what you
of
were saying.
speech.
It's exactly what you're saying.
Yes, you're making the freedom of speech is not freedom of reach argument. You have the right to say what you want. You don't have a right to a platform. And he resents
Right.
the fact that Joe Rogan gave a platform to these people, which it was never our argument against Rogan that he gives a platform to them. It's that he doesn't prepare for a conversation with them. Go ahead, have whoever you want. Just be prepared for a conversation. And nothing does more to bolster the Darrow Coopers of the world than endlessly bitching that they have access to a platform. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, censorship never works. Suppressing
Right.
ideas and opinions
No.
never works. It only
No.
makes those ideas
Confront them.
stronger. Yes, you confront them and you knock them down. Like, if you actually believe in democracy and a free speech and a free press, then you must believe, if you believe in democracy, you must believe in the ability of good ideas to triumph over bad ideas. Because if you
Right.
don't believe in that, then you don't really trust the people. How can you have a democracy where you don't trust the people? This was our critique of the libs, which no doubt Bari Weiss shared until 17 months ago, 18 months ago.
Right.
And that is what turned them. And that's what turned
and
Murray
she
too.
never
Murray was
she
debate
never shared
partners.
it in that area.
No, not in that area. But now we're seeing it because now this is front and center.
Now
And
now it
Murray
came
too.
up.
Murray was debate partner with Matt Taibbi, defending, doing a pretty good job at the time of
Yeah.
defending
Yeah.
freedom of speech, distrust in the media. But now that distrust in the media and anti-establishment sentiment has turned its focus on this Israel question, well, now all of a sudden they want a whole lot of gatekeeping. They want a whole lot of gatekeeping, but they're afraid to just say what it is they want. So they come up with all this. You have to have hygiene. Hygiene. What does that mean? Hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a sleazy way of saying you want censorship. It's just whining.
They're making exactly the same arguments they've been decrying for years. And this is what I saw at the douchebag dialogues. These people are all hypocrites. They are all completely prepared to deploy the same exact tactics as the libs, in some cases worse than the libs. But they frame it in the same way, ironically, that they framed their attacks on the libs as like a defense of Western values.
Right.
Speech was a defense of Western values. Now limiting certain kinds of speech is a defense of Western values. Which is it? No,
Right.
these people are absolutely ridiculous. Hey, man, Darryl Cooper, he's too much of a big fucking mangina to debate anybody or to put himself in any kind of a public forum where he could be confronted in a non-controlled environment. So you're never going to get to debate him. But hey, man, you got money. You're published. Go write a fucking book. Take
Right.
down his arguments, man. Go ahead. That's how you handle it. This is why with a lot of these people at the height of wokeness and cancel culture, I read Douglas Murray's book and I was like, yeah, man, I agree with a lot of that. Some of it, even at that time, I thought was not in my lane ideologically, but not such that I would dismiss him. October 7th was very clarifying with all of these people and what they actually stand for or don't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I really just can't overstate how contemptible it is that so many of these people accepted our goodwill when we, and I don't mean we literally,
Yes.
although Russ and I were amongst people who were generally left of center who advocated for the free speech rights of
Right.
conservatives,
Yeah.
knowing we didn't really agree with them on much, but we believe in the principle.
That's how
of
I
free
wound
speech.
up at Dissident Dialogues.
Exactly. And you're right to express your views, whether we like them or not. That's a principle. And so they accepted all this goodwill, saying, hey, these are lefties we can get along with because even though we don't agree, they respect our right to free speech, and that's great. And then what happens? As soon as they gain power, they turn around and they close the gate. and say, nope, no free speech for you. It was not entirely unpredictable. Certainly after October 7th, it became entirely predictable. Even at the time, I didn't exactly trust them to hold up their end of the bargain, but they really flipped faster and more drastically than even I thought.
Please clap.